I always believe that business is about perseverance and going the distance. And even when you don't have it in you to keep going, that's what Ironman for me is about.
Welcome to Running is Cheaper Than Therapy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Weta L. Brown. I inspire and promote movement. I explain how running adds to life from a mental wholeness aspect, how obstacles can be overcome in life to make it to your finish line. Welcome to Running is Cheaper Than Therapy, episode 75. Today, I want to do a tribute to the late Darrell Freeman Sr. This is a difficult episode. Darrell Freeman Sr. was a triathlete, among many other things, but that is how I knew him. I met him in 2018 at Ironman Chattanooga. I was in Chattanooga cheering on teammates. This was my first cheering, spectating experience at a full distance Ironman race. We had several team members racing. I rode down with Paula, a member of our team. I did some training as well, swimming, some running. It's always a treat to spectate a race with our team, particularly Coach Maurice. So there's always a get-together of the Black Triathlete Association. And Darrell was with the Tennessee crew. I remember meeting him along with others that day. I didn't talk with him much that year. But as one of my friends mentioned, he met Darrell in Chattanooga. And Darrell was just a generous person. He had paid for the whole table he was sitting with that day. Fast forward to 2019. This was Ironman Louisville. This was my first full distance Ironman race. I was so excited. I had been preparing since 2018, really. I had a progression plan to full distance. Or did I even plan to do a full distance? Peer pressure will make you do crazy things. So my first year, I learned how to swim. That was 2017. 2018, I did a couple of sprints. One Olympic race and a 70.3. 2019, I did a 70.3 non-branded Ironman race. I did a 7.3 and actually DNF, which is another story. And then ultimately all of this was prepare me for Ironman Louisville. This was a team race that year, which was perfect for us because it was close enough to drive. So we went to Louisville to ride the course twice, to run the course, although it changed 2 times before the actual race. And we actually didn't swim in the Ohio River, but I got to see it. It's quoted to be one of the dirtiest swims of all the Ironman races. But Louisville was no more. The race ended after 2019. But we got to actually experience the course. I knew that course, particularly the bike course, like the back of my hand, and I'm bad with directions. I drove down on Wednesday night. I like to be early. Stayed in a less expensive hotel. Checked in on Thursday. Met some people. On Friday, did some shakedown training, just check your bike, check your legs, do the briefing, and then we had another Black Triathlete Association meetup. I had planned I knew my team, my coach, Maurice, and I knew one of the other participants who we met via social media. We both went to Florida A&M University, which you've heard me speak about if you listen to my podcast. I'm a proud alumni. So we had talked on social media, but we never met in person. But I met a few more racers that day. A couple from Maryland, and then there was a Tennessee crew. And Darrell Freeman, Sr., was one of the Tennessee crew. I call them the Tennessee crew because they travel in a pack. And if they're outside of Tennessee, they usually ride with Darrell. Darrell was a pilot. And I thought it was funny that Crumpy rode with Darrell, but he really didn't like to fly. So I think he premedicated before the flight. So it wouldn't bother me as much. But Darrell and Crumpy were a unique pair. They made me laugh. They always were just joking with each other. I remember Crumpy, which is the previous guest on another podcast. Crumpy and Darrell were like making fun of each other, going back and forth. So Darrell was saying that Crumpy's a big deal. He runs a workout Capital Steps every week, and he's an ambassador for Lululemon, and he called him a Lululemon man or something like that. So Crumpy was saying that no, I'm not a big deal. He's the big deal, referring to Darrell. I had no clue. I knew neither one of them, but both of them are a big deal. So I just thought they were just going back and forth. Then we're talking about the race, and by this time, the swim had been canceled. There was concern about algae in the lake. So even before we arrived, there was talk that the swim may be canceled. So there was toxic algae in the Ohio River. So when we did our briefing, it wasn't confirmed that the swim was canceled. But they announced that the swim would be canceled due to the high levels of toxic algae. Wasn't safe for us to swim. I was disappointed. I walked by the Ohio River to see this toxic algae, and it looks like some neon green stuff that looked like it was glowing fluorescent. So maybe I can see why they canceled the swim, but I was disappointed because I had worked so hard to first learn how to swim in 2017. This was 2 years after. Gotten over my panic mode when I got in open water. The first year I raced, each race outside of the indoor triathlons I did, I had a freak out moment. I grabbed the kayak at least once. When I did Augusta, we had to jump off of this platform. My heart raced after we dropped. I couldn't get it together. I just did drills. And for people who swim who may not like drills, I'm one of them. I was happy I had those drills in my little bag of tricks. So I freaked out. I grabbed the kayak, and one of the volunteers said, if a bag of Doritos can float down this river, you can swim. There's a video of I think it's a Lay's potato chip bag floating down the river because it's said to be current assisted. And it is, because it was my fastest swim times from a race. She said, get it together. So after she calmed me down, I got it together. But each race, I had to freak out. Chicago, I think I did it 7 strokes, and then I treaded water, 7 strokes, treaded water. It might have been less than 7 strokes because Joy, who is a coach, was like, wait up, keep going, do 10 strokes. And I might do a few, and she's like, that's not 10 strokes, keep going. So by the time that race was over, my neck was hurting because I had treaded so much during the race. So I had gotten over my swim anxiety, and I still freaked out a little bit, but I learned to calm myself down by coping mechanism, by singing, humming, saying mantras as I swam. And my goal was to remain calm and keep moving without stopping. So that worked. But I couldn't test it out because the swim was canceled. So I was really upset about it. So we were talking about the swim. I was talking to Darrell, and he said he did the algae dance to cancel the swim. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I did a dance, so the swim will be canceled. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, yes, I did. He's like, I don't need to swim. He had done a number of races then, but I told him that this was my first race and I wanted to get the full experience. He's like, sorry. So after that, he was the algae dancer. That was his name. Because after the race, we kept in touch via social media, Instagram, Facebook. I wanted him to be a guest on my podcast, and we never worked out the scheduling details due to him being such a busy person. But we talked about a lot of things. He was a pilot, and my adopted nephew, who I've known since he was in high school, wanted to be a pilot. Very smart young man who moved here from Jamaica to go to high school and ultimately college. He just graduated with an engineering degree, but he still wants to be a pilot. But if you don't have someone who can assist you to getting flight hours, it's difficult. If you're not in the military, or if you don't have some type of someone who can help you get the flight hours, because it's expensive. And if you don't own a plane or know someone who owns a plane, it can be taxing. So I wanted to connect him. I wanted him to encourage him. I wanted him to see someone who looked like him, who was a pilot, because that's what he desired to be. And I still encourage him to do that. In season 5, we will continue the segment Ask the Doc. If you have any questions related to musculoskeletal health, please email me, send me a message via social media, or click on my website and leave an audio message. Select messages will be answered on the segment. Darrell Freeman, although I met him twice, as I said in my post after he passed away, although I didn't know him long, I felt that he's considered a friend. He had one of those spirits, like we just connected. So when I learned of his passing on June 28th, my heart was heavy. I even shed a few tears. I couldn't believe that he was gone. Let me give you a little bit of history about Darrell Freeman if you don't know him, if you're not in the triathlete community or in the business world or part of his Nashville community. Darrell Freeman grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. His parents did not finish high school. He grew up poor. He has a typical rags to riches story. While his parents did not go to high school or college, they were hard workers and very determined individual, and instilled in Darrell that he could do anything he wanted to be. He went to college initially at Chat State. His GPA was 1.234. He mentioned he's not sure how he actually worked it out to get those numbers. He transferred to Middle Tennessee State University and ultimately graduated with a master's. From there, he started his technology services company, Cycron Incorporated. He launched his business from a one-employee office the size of a closet with $2,000 in his wife's credit card. He knows his office was the size of a closet because now that same office actually is a closet. The company grew to $38 million in revenue. $38 million from $2,000 in his wife's credit card to $38 million. Imagine that. His company provided employees who helped large corporations such as hospital chains if you've heard of HCA hospitals and large corporations implementing their information technology plan. His degree was in IT. So his first business was centered around IT. In 2017, Darrell sold his business for $20 million. $20 million. Darrell also was an investor and a mentor to other businesses. He mentored the trio who founded the restaurant chain Slim and Husky Pizza, which now has 10 locations and is located in 4 states. Again, he's a pilot. He's part owner in a bank. In 2018, he founded Cockpit Conversations, a series of interviews hosted by Darrell at an altitude of 25,000 feet, where he believed the sky is not the limit. During the interviews, Freeman and his guests discussed topics such as leadership, entrepreneurship, business principles, community service, goal setting, and his philanthropic endeavors. His goal was to motivate viewers to aim high and inspire them to pursue their dreams with passion and confidence. He wanted viewers to hear messages of hope, inspiration, and wisdom from a diverse collection of individuals. His videos can be viewed on Freeman's YouTube channel. Darrell remains the only 2-time chairman of the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce. The first-generation college student became a trustee at his alma mater, Middle Tennessee State University. He serves on other boards, relentlessly advertising entrepreneurship and advocating for underprivileged students. He also worked to start a $10 million business incubator at Fisk University. Unfortunately, Darrell passed June 28, 2022, at his home at the age of 57. He leaves his wife, Gloria, and his 4 children, Ebony, Kenya, Darrell Jr., and Nathan. Just want to share some words of wisdom from Darrell Freeman Sr. There is value in no's, as after a series of no's, there will be a yes, or more than one yes. The key is to keep going despite the no's. Fear is not always bad, but don't let that fear paralyze you. Keep moving. Keep striving. Failure is not always bad either. Let it motivate you. Learn from your mistakes. The most successful people in life have failed. Let everybody know what you're doing. Make it public. If you're striving to, do an Ironman, share that goal with trusted companions. Let them motivate you. Have a common goal. Find people with goals similar to yours. Trying to lose weight? Tell your friends. They'll help you prevent you from slipping up when you want to have those 2 to 3 Krispy Kreme donuts, or if you just want to sleep in and miss a workout. The people who may get you from point A to point B may not be the same people to get you from point B to point C. As we grow, achieve progress, sometimes you may need to reevaluate your circle. If you're an employer, you may need to evaluate your staff. There's nothing wrong with changing your circle, your crew, your staff, because just because someone got you to a certain place may not be the same people to get you to the next level. Don't let your past cause you to question whether you belong or your future. Don't let your past question you who you can be or who you will be. Stay positive. Imposter syndrome is real. I can attest to it. But remember, you belong and you deserve everything you earn. These are paraphrases of information I gathered from talking to Darrell and listening to his YouTube videos, his Instagram videos, reading his posts. He always gave a plethora of information. And one other thing he said was, hang around with smarter people, people who are better than you. For one, they teach you something. For two, it gives you something to strive for, something to look forward to. I could give a ton of other things I gathered from knowing him and just soaking in some of his knowledge. I want you to listen to words from Darrell Freeman. This is a talk he was given in Tallahassee, actually Tallahassee Community College. There were several members of my university, Florida A&M, in the audience that asked questions. And this brief segment, he talks about why he does Ironman races. Take a listen.
Ironman, that doesn't mean a lot. I'm a 6-time Ironman. You know what the Ironman event is? Why are we looking at me? Because I want you to do the 7th one with me. I do the Ironman events because it's an event of endurance, and it's something you can't buy. It's a 2.4 mile swim in the ocean, a 112 mile bike, and then a 26.2 mile run to follow that. What does it got to do with business? I always believe that business is about perseverance and going the distance. And even when you don't have it in you to keep going, that's what Ironman for me is about. From the ground up.
So I always say sports imitates life, as Darrell was talking about what he gets from doing Ironman races. At the time of that segment, he had only done 6, but he did a total of 10 full distance Ironman races. Competing in sports, whether it be running, triathlons, football, basketball, any sports, I think it imitates life. You get the team concept, you get perseverance, as Darrell talked about. You conquer fears. I had to conquer my fear swimming to do triathlons. Crashing on the bike as well. The fear of failure. You set a goal. You make it public because people can track you. And Ironman races, people can track you. So it's public. You're out there. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself out there for a goal. Despite fears, despite voices in your head saying you can't do this. Despite people maybe telling you can't do this. Despite failures. Like every training day is not a good day. Every practice is not a good day. The people who participate in professional sports, and they're just basically out there all the time. Every game is not going to be a good game, but you're out there. You're giving it your all. You're passionate about something. And you'll see results, and that can carry over in other areas of your life. Because life sucks sometimes. And there are things that you're afraid of that you have to face in order to be successful in life. So sports is a mirror. It imitates life. So I just wanted to take this time to share a little bit of Darrell Freeman to people who knew him, people who never heard of him, because his story is powerful. And I know I'm not doing his story justice. I wish I would have had the opportunity to sit down virtually and interview him, because I know he inspired me. And I didn't know him for that long or spend that much time with him, actually. But he inspired me. And the next time that I toe that start line, I will toe the start line of a full distance Ironman race. I will dedicate it to Darrell Freeman Sr. He will be there with me in spirit, although Darrell no algae dancing, because I want to do the full race. No algae dancing. He will be there with me, motivating me. He will live on through his legacy, through his children, through his mentorship, through all the plethora of information. If you just go on his website, you can just learn so much from him. Even if your thing is not business, even if your thing is not triathlons, you can learn a lot in whatever endeavor you have in life. So, Darrell, we miss you. Rest in peace, my friend. That wraps up this episode of Running is Cheaper Than Therapy podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you already haven't, please download Running is Cheaper Than Therapy podcast on Apple, Spotify, or however you listen to your favorite podcast. If you have any questions, concerns, or possible show topics, please email runitischeaperthan-therapy, OLB, Omaha Love Brown. Again, that's runitischeaperthan-therapy, Omaha Love Brown @gmail.com. I also can be reached via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Handle We Life, We Love. OUI Life, OUI Love. Thank you, and please tune in again.